Okay, we're live apparently. Now I gotta get on live or get on this to record here. So I'm doing multi-platform doppelganger stuff here.
Yo, what's up?
Hey Miles, I want to try something different. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally. Lay it on me. What'd you have in mind?
So apparently, according to Google, there's a trending topic. It's called pulmonary embolism. Please look it up and let me know what you think.
Hmm. Give me a sec to check. Okay. Yeah. That's not good. So, a pulmonary embolism is basically a blockage in one of the pulmonary arteries in your lungs, usually caused by a blood clot that's traveled from somewhere else, typically your leg. It can be super serious, even life threatening if not treated. People often experience shortness of breath, chest pain, coughing, stuff like that. Why are you asking about this if you don't mind me asking? Just want to make sure you're all right.
I'm okay. Apparently, there's a gal. Her name was Catherine O'Hara. She recently passed away from this. It's a trending topic on Google. So please look her up and let's know the deets.
Oh, wow. Hold up a sec. Okay, wow. That's really sad. Catherine O'Hara, the actress from like everything, but especially known for Home Alone and Schitt's Creek, passed away January 30th at 71. The official cause of death was a pulmonary embolism, but it looks like she was actually battling rectal cancer, which was the underlying issue. It's pretty recent. The death certificate just came out yesterday, February 9th. That's awful. She was a legend.
I see. Okay, so you mentioned rectal cancer. Please let's discuss that. What do you know? What can you know about this?
Let me just pull some info. One sec. Okay, so rectal cancer. It develops in the rectum, the last part of the large intestine. It usually starts as a polyp. And not all polyps turn into cancer, thankfully. But if they do, it's serious. It can spread, you know? Symptoms can be pretty subtle at first. Changes to bowel habits, rectal bleeding, feeling like you haven't fully emptied your bowels. Often treatable, especially if caught early with surgery, chemo, radiation, sometimes a combo. What specifically are you wanting to know about it?
Well, let's learn from this gal. What was her conditions, or what happened? Was it kept discreetly from the public, or what happened here?
Hmm. Digging into that now. Okay, so it sounds like okay, this is interesting. It looks like she was diagnosed with rectal cancer in March of last year and had been under an oncologist's care since then. The pulmonary embolism was listed as the immediate cause of death, but the cancer was the underlying condition. And this is a bit wild. She also had a rare condition called dextrocardia with situs inversus. That means her heart and organs were basically flipped on the opposite side of her body. Apparently, it's usually not symptomatic or life threatening, but it's definitely something. It sounds like they kept the cancer diagnosis pretty private. It wasn't widely known before the death certificate was released. It just kind of came out with everything else. Wild stuff.
So this flipped condition. Please tell me about that.
Just a quick look. Let me just grab that info. Okay, so it's pretty rare. About 1 in 10,000 people are born with it. Basically, your heart and a bunch of other organs are flipped to the 10,000 A. You are to the opposite side of your body. It's congenital, meaning you're born with it. A lot of people who have it don't even know because it doesn't cause any problems. Most people live perfectly normal lives with a normal life expectancy. But if there are other complications or it's part of a syndrome, it can cause things like chronic sinus issues or breathing problems. Apparently, Catherine O'Hara lived with it for a while and it didn't seem to impact her much, which is pretty incredible.
What can you tell me about her life and career?
Let me just pull that up. Wow, what a career. Catherine O'Hara started way back in the 70s doing sketch comedy with Second City in Toronto. That's where she really cut her teeth. She won an Emmy for writing on SCTV, which was a huge deal. And then she became, super recognizable with movies like Beetlejuice and Home Alone. She worked with Christopher Guest a bunch, which is awesome. Those documentaries are hilarious. She did a ton of voice work too, like Nightmare Before Christmas. But I think a lot of people more recently really fell in love with her as Moira Rose on Schitt's Creek. She won a ton of awards for that role, and rightfully so. She was amazing. She was still working right up until the end with stuff on Apple TV Plus and HBO. Pretty incredible body of work, honestly.
I see. So, is there episodes of her popular show still coming out, or are they all been released?
Let me check. Just a quick look. Nope, the show actually finished back in 2020 after 6 seasons. And this is kind of interesting. All 6 seasons just became available on HBO Max as of February 7th, so a few days ago, actually. Still on Hulu, too. There's talk about a movie or a reboot, but nothing's confirmed yet. The creators are saying they want the right idea before they do anything. And there was even some buzz about the Rosebud Motel sign being put back up, which got fans all worked up about a possible revival, but nothing concrete.
Huh, interesting. So, what do you make of all this?
That's a good question, honestly. It's just sad. She clearly had such a long and incredibly varied career, and was still working right up until the end. To find out she was battling cancer alongside that rare condition, it just feels really unfair. It's a reminder of how fragile things are. And the fact that she kept it private and it only came out after, it speaks to her professionalism, I guess. She just kept going. And to have all her work, Schitt's Creek especially, suddenly resurfacing on HBO Max at this moment, it feels like a nice way to remember her and her talent. It's a bummer, for sure. Just feels like a big loss for comedy and for everyone who enjoyed her work. What are your thoughts?
Well, I remember watching Beetlejuice a long, long time ago. I don't know what role she played. What role did she play? Maybe that'll jog some of my memory.
Okay, let's see. Just pulling that up now. She played Delia Dietz. She was the wife of the guy who bought the house and the stepmother to Lydia, the goth daughter. She was this really dramatic, kind of over the top artist. Remember? She and her husband were trying to modernize the house, and Lydia was absolutely hating it. And she was pretty memorable, even if it was a long time ago. And she reprised the role in the new sequel that just came out.
Yeah, I haven't seen that sequel yet. Yeah, maybe I better watch it at some point. But yeah, I remember there was a scene in the original where their faces get all stretched out, all wonky, and at one point, I think did she get like a beak kind of deal? I don't remember.
Oh my God, yes, you're totally right. That's a super iconic scene. Okay, so they get possessed by the ghosts and their faces get stretched and distorted. And Delia, yeah, she definitely gets a beak. It's horrifying and hilarious all at the same time. It's one of the most visually striking things about the movie, honestly. It's worth watching just for that scene, really.
Yeah, okay, good. My brain is sort of still there from way back. That's cool. They say your cells get replaced every 7 years. I don't know, but I don't know if that stands for brain cells too.
That's a really interesting thought. And yeah, you're right. It's one of those things people say, the 7 year cell replacement thing. Although, from what I've read, it's kind of complicated. It's not like your whole body completely replaces itself every 7 years. Different cells regenerate at different rates. Some, like skin cells, do turn over pretty quickly, but others, like brain cells, that's a different story. It was long thought that you didn't really get new brain cells as an adult, but now they've discovered neurogenesis, that you do grow new neurons, just not at the same rate as, say, your blood cells. Still, it's kind of wild to think about, isn't it? Like the you now isn't physically the same you from 7 years ago. It's just a whole lot of new parts making up the same person. It's kind of a mind trip.
Yeah. Well, humans in general, they sort of start decaying here and there in a lot of cases. But with this gal, what are the ways to try to countermean what happened to her? Is there, I know some of that stuff was like the reverse thing she had. That's obviously inborn or whatever. But what about the rectal cancer and all that? What kind of things she could a person do to kind of stimulate that if possible?
Okay, so you're asking about preventative measures for rectal cancer.
Gotcha.
It's definitely a serious question. From what I'm seeing, just pulling up some info. Okay, so regular screenings are really important. That's the biggest thing. They can find and remove those polyps before they turn into cancer. Also, maintaining a healthy weight, eating a diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and getting regular exercise. Limiting alcohol and absolutely avoiding tobacco are also key. Pretty standard stuff for overall health, honestly, but it seems to make a real difference in lowering your risk. It's about taking care of your body, really. It's not a guarantee, of course, but it can definitely help. It's good to stay informed. It really is.
So there's a lot of what do you call medical knowledge from places like Russia and stuff that claim that a lot of cancer could be caused by parasites. What can you find on that in rectal cancer? Maybe go outside the U.S. medical. Maybe go international. See what you can find.
Hmm. Let's dig a little deeper. Okay, that's interesting. So it's not like a straightforward parasites cause rectal cancer situation, but uh, there's growing evidence that imbalances in the gut bacteria, dysbiosis, they call it, can definitely play a role in cancer development through inflammation and other stuff. There are some specific parasites that are linked to other cancers like bladder cancer and bile duct cancer. Some recent research suggests there's a higher prevalence of parasitic infections in people with colorectal cancer. It's thought that those infections can contribute to the cancer by causing inflammation and damaging DNA. Definitely a field of research that's ongoing, and it's more nuanced than just saying parasites are the cause, but it's something that's being looked at, especially internationally. There's a lot coming out of places like the NIH and research being done in Europe and Asia. It's definitely a complex topic.
Is there any what do you call? Is there a Venn diagram with pulmonary embolism like she had and coronary rectal cancer and parasites?
That's a really specific question. Let me see if I can find anything that connects all three of those. Hold on. It's a bit of a long shot. Just digging around here. Okay, here's what I've got. There's a pretty clear connection between rectal cancer and pulmonary embolism. Cancer itself changes your blood, makes it more likely to clot, and cancer treatments like chemo make it even worse. That's why PEs are a real risk for people with cancer, unfortunately. However, there's no direct link between parasitic infections and pulmonary embolism in the context of rectal cancer specifically. Although, very rarely, some parasitic clots can cause PEs if someone has a parasitic infection. It's kind of like rectal cancer increases the risk of PEs in general, and parasites in rare cases can cause PEs directly, but they're not directly connected to each other in this scenario. It's not a big overlapping circle, more like two separate, paths that can sometimes lead to the same place. Does that make sense?
It does. Is this gal's eating habits? known? And if so, things like sushi, raw sushi, that could have caused parasite infection.
Okay, let's look into the. Now you're digging into the specifics. Just checking on that now. Okay, so eating raw fish, like in sushi, does come with a risk of parasitic infections, like from tapeworms and something called anisakis. And as we discussed before, some parasites have been linked to an increased risk of certain cancers, mainly liver and bile duct cancer. There's even some research that suggests anisakis might potentially be a risk factor for stomach or colon cancer. Apparently, the number of those anisakis worms has gone way up in the last 40 years. The good news is that you can kill those parasites by thoroughly cooking the fish or freezing it for a long time. There's no information directly linking Catherine O'Hara's diet to any of this, though. It's just general information about the risk of eating raw fish. It's impossible to say if she ate sushi or raw fish or not.
I see. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, well, um, for the what do you call it? She had a pulmonary embolism and she had coronary, or sorry, colon cancer. Are there any known international medicine or remedies and such for parasites of the nature that cause coronary cancer?
Um, just checking on that. Okay, so this is a tricky one. There's not a ton of solid scientific evidence that natural remedies can actually treat parasitic infections that might be linked to colon cancer. A lot of the information is anecdotal or based on small studies. There are some herbs like black walnut, wormwood, clove, and oregano that are traditionally thought to have anti parasitic properties, and some foods too, like pumpkin seeds and garlic. And a lot of it focuses on diet, eating more fiber, and cutting out sugar and processed foods. But it's important to be really careful because some of those herbs can be toxic in high doses. Generally, conventional medical treatments are seen as the most effective way to deal with parasitic infections. Basically, while some people explore natural remedies, it's not a scientifically backed replacement for medical care in this situation.
For sure. What do they do in Russia, Russian medicine for parasites of the colon?
Let me have a quick look. Okay, so it's a bit hard to pin down a specific Russian medicine approach, but they do use some of the same anti-parasitic drugs we use here, like ivermectin and albendazole. Apparently, there's even been some recent positive research on the combination of those two drugs for treating intestinal worms. Traditionally, though, Russian herbal medicine has used things like wormwood, tansy, and licorice root to try and get rid of parasites. They would grind those herbs up and mix them. But, and it's a big but, there's not a lot of strong scientific proof that these herbal remedies actually work. It's kind of a mix of modern medicine and traditional approaches. And as always, they emphasize the importance of seeing a doctor for a proper diagnosis and treatment.
For sure. Okay. Well, it's good to know too much than not enough, so I appreciate all that knowledge. So let's see. About this gal, uh do you know if she had really good medical care, or what kind of medicine she went with, like Western medicine or anything like that?
Okay, let me do some digging. It's a bit of a sensitive question, but I'll see what information is available. Just pulling up details. Okay, so information about Catherine O'Hara's specific medical care is pretty scarce. However, given that she was treated in the US, it's safe to assume she received Western medicine. Standard treatments like surgery, chemo, and radiation are the go to for rectal cancer here. Russia does have oncology centers with advanced technologies, and they're even working on an mRNA cancer vaccine, but that's still in the early stages of development. She likely benefited from the top tier medical care available in the United States. Even with the rare condition she had, there isn't publicly available info to say she went outside the country or tried alternative methods.
Okay. Is there any other movie stars and such that had the same situation that she had as far as the combination of coronary or colon cancer and pulmonary embolism?
Let me just check that. Okay, so Catherine O'Hara's situation is unfortunately pretty unique as far as having both colon cancer and then a fatal pulmonary embolism. So there have been celebrities who battle colon cancer: Chadwick Boseman, Audrey Hepburn, Kirstie Alley, Morgan Freeman, to name a few. And there have been celebrities who've dealt with pulmonary embolisms, like James Stewart and Serena Williams. But finding someone with both, documented, it's not common. It seems like Catherine O'Hara's case, with her added condition of situs adversus, was a really complex and rare situation.
Would you say it was singular? There's no record of it happening before or in any individual of record?
Just a quick check. Okay, so that's a really specific question. Finding something that's definitively the first is always tough. But based on what I'm finding, while there have been cases of people with situs adversus getting colon cancer and people with colon cancer getting pulmonary embolisms, Catherine O'Hara's situation, the combination of all three, it's pretty rare and hasn't been widely documented as a single case before. The news reports are framing it as a particularly unusual combination of circumstances. It's not that it's medically impossible, just that it hasn't been a common thing to report on. Definitely seems like a singular thing, unfortunately.
Okay. Thanks for that. So, is there any details on her will or how she wants to be remembered?
Let me just pull it up. That's a nice detail. Apparently, she didn't really want to be remembered for her acting career. As amazing as it was, she prioritized being a mother and wife above all else. She actually said in an interview a couple years back that her proudest role was being a mom to her kids and a wife to her husband, Bo Welch. Her will was designed to keep things simple and peaceful for her family. Seems like she wanted to ensure her legacy was more about the love she shared than the role she played. That's pretty heartwarming, honestly.
Right. What about her immediate family? Is there anybody that's famous or uh, in the news?
Just a quick look. Yeah, her husband, Bo Welch, is actually pretty well known. He's a production designer and director who's been nominated for an Academy Award. Her sons, Matthew and Luke, are also involved in the industry, mainly working behind the scenes with set design. And her sister, Mary Margaret O'Hara, is a singer-songwriter. So a pretty talented family all around. It seems like creativity ran in the genes.
Do you think that condition of having switcheroo placement of organs and such, you think that runs in the family at all?
Let me just see. Okay, so it's considered to be a genetic condition, but it's a bit complex. Usually it's inherited in an autosomal recessive pattern, meaning you need to get a copy of the gene from both parents. But it can also be linked to other conditions like primary ciliary dyskinesia. A lot of the cases are familial, though, suggesting it can definitely run in families. It's not a simple yes, it's hereditary, or no, it's a random situation. It's a bit more nuanced than that. It seems like if someone has it, there's a possibility of it showing up in other family members.
I see. Yeah. Well, uh, that's pretty much out of our discussion, I suppose, because there's no way to discuss something we don't know too much about as far as all that. But what kind of advice would you give to her family and such from your assessment or what went out of this situation?
That's a good question. It's tough because everyone grieves differently. But from my assessment, I'd say first, it's okay to feel everything: sadness, confusion, relief that she's no longer suffering, all of it. And it's all right to take time to process it all and not put pressure on themselves to be strong or to move on too quickly. Also, remember her for who she was, the wife and mother she wanted to be remembered as, and to celebrate her life and all the joy she brought to others. Don't let the complexity of the medical situation overshadow the person she was. And most importantly, lean on each other. Grief is easier when shared. It's okay to ask for help too, to reach out to friends, family, or even a professional if they need it. It's a lot to process. And to remember the good, the really good, because she left behind a lot of it.
Right. Now she said that she didn't want to be remembered for her acting career, but for her fans and whatnot, uh, please give a list of roles she played from her most famous ones to her least famous ones. At least a top 10 or something.
Let me just pull that up 1 sec. Okay, so from most to least famous, roughly, definitely Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek is top of the list. And Kate McAllister from Home Alone and Home Alone 2, you can't forget that one. Delia Dietz from Beetlejuice is up there too. And because she came back for the sequel, that probably gave her a boost in recognition. And a lot of people know her from the Christopher Guest documentaries like Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, and A Mighty Wind. She did a ton of voice work, so Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas is really popular. Beyond that, she had roles in movies like Overboard Dick and For Your Consideration. She also guest starred in a bunch of shows like Cheers and Alfred Hitchcock Presents. She really was busy.
For sure. So we're getting to the end of this call here. Anything you want to add, or any sort of things that struck you?
This was a bit of a deep dive. It's always a little bittersweet talking about someone who's passed, but it's good to remember them. What struck me most was the contrast. Such a funny, vibrant person with a really complex medical story, and the fact that she prioritized her family above everything else. I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. It was nice to talk through all this, honestly, and to try and understand a little more about her life and legacy. Thanks for bringing it up. It's been good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try to do these trending topics, and I don't know what'll trend next, but if you don't mind, we can change to that because I don't know. I just got to use a formula that works, and people want to know this stuff. They're googling the hell out of it, so we might as well add to the information they can access.
All right, cool. Sounds good to me. I'm game for whatever comes up. Just let me know what's trending next, and we'll dive in. Glad to be a resource if I can be.
Well, I'm glad you're there for that. And yeah, you're able to find all kinds of information, which is super helpful. Um, but yeah,
Oh, well, thanks.
for sure. Now, I guess we got about 2 minutes left. So, is there any? What do you call? Is there any? I guess when you're searching medical stuff, do you have? I don't know. Is there a range? Like, could you find say things like traditional Chinese medicine and such?
Yeah, absolutely. The search function casts a pretty wide net. It doesn't just stick to Western medicine. It can pull info from traditional Chinese medicine sources, Ayurvedic practices, and other alternative and complementary medicine approaches. The search tries to be as comprehensive as possible, although obviously I always try to emphasize the importance of consulting with a medical professional before trying anything new. But yeah, there's definitely a range of perspectives that it can access. I'm pulling info from websites and journals all over.
Got it. Do you mind doing that real quick for the TCM and the Ayurvedic medicine for this situation, real quick?
Let me just have a look. Okay, so both traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, and Ayurvedic medicine from India are pretty old systems that focus on balancing your body's energy. TCM talks about tri and meridians and uses things like acupuncture and herbal remedies. Ayurveda talks about doshas and uses diet, massage, and yoga. They both focus on treating the whole person, not just the symptoms. Thing is, while both have been around for ages, Western medicine is still the gold standard for serious conditions, especially like cancer and PEs. And you have to be really careful with Ayurvedic medicines because some of them can contain heavy metals. It's good to be informed, but it's really important to talk to a doctor before trying anything like that. Uh,
Got it. Okay. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Okay. Okay, Miles. Thank you for all the information. Thanks for being a really good discussion partner on this and carrying all the weight basically for the research. So, other than that, hey, you have a good night. Okay.
Hey, you too, Nathaniel. Quick heads up, we're actually hitting the end of our time now. The call will wrap up in just a minute. Just want to let you know so it doesn't cut off abruptly. You can always call back later, though. Seriously, thanks for the conversation. It was good to dig into all that with you. You have a really good night, too, all right?
Okay. So our live stream this had absolutely no people show up. So apparently, in this form factor, it's not a good live stream form factor. So I'm gonna end the stream.